already. Yeah. But your takeaways yesterday, Monty speaking to the media a little bit, had some interesting things to say. Anything that stuck out to you significantly? And if it is the Jaden Ivey stuff, then we can get right into it. But anything that you took away from it?
Listen, that's probably the most interesting thing to talk about. I have no problem with jumping right into that. I do want to preface, like, with Monty Williams coming in, the one thing that we knew is, and we covered this on What We're Pistons podcast as well, is that he checks all egos at the door. He wants to reset the table, and he's been saying this all along. Everyone's going to have to prove that they belong in a certain position, as well as the fits that he wanted to be able to bring to this team. So the Ivy stuff, man, I definitely think that that's where we should just jump off.
So at least for me, with the whole Ivy thing, and I had to kind of think about it last night because part of me initially was like, why the hell would Ivy come off your bench? He's the top 5 pick. He was the best player taken at that position at 5. And when you look at this team and what they need now, or what do you expect them to be, you expect this team to be dynamic. And you expect this team to, you know, at least their foundational pieces, Ivy, Cade, and Sasser, Jalen Duren. That's the 4 that I look at and think, okay, those dudes have high ceilings. 4. Yeah, your core 4. Isaiah Stewart, I think, you know, will be solid. He's going to be a damn good player, but he's more going to be a role player for you. You start at 4, he'll provide a lot of the other things. But I'm talking high ceilings, Cade, Ivy, Sasser, and Duren. But when I actually sat there and thought about it, and I really thought about it, I told myself, well, Jeff, you think about it. Ivy's going to play as many minutes as he would starting. He's going to close games. The only difference is he just won't be starting. And the question I asked myself, and me and Michael Gentry were going back and forth about this, because he had the audacity to him and his Red Wings. And me and Michael Gentry have a little beef here. It's friendly, but he comes at the Pistons. And I don't even come at the Red Wings, so I don't even know what this is about. It's a one-way, like, I'm catching strays all the time. And one thing he said is, Jeff, he's not even good enough to start. And I said, that's not even the case, though. And I want you to break it down for me. How did you interpret it when you found out that there's a chance, when Monty said if Alec wasn't ready to go, then Bogey would have got the start? What was your takeaway from Ivy being on the bench? Does he stink? Is he not? And I'm just saying this just because that's what I've been hearing. He either stinks, he's a bad fit. Break it down for me, Kool-Aid. What's going on?
I'll start here. I personally want Ivy to start. I think that he's capable. I think that he's earned that distinction. But earning that distinction and that capability doesn't necessarily mean that it's the best fit for the team. I'm not even talking about the best fit for the lineup. I keep seeing people throw things out there like, you know, Ivy doesn't fit necessarily in that starting lineup. I think he can shoot the 3 pretty well, and his catch and shoot 3-point percentage was pretty good. But he's not necessarily the same type of player as a Bojan. The other thing to preface here is that Monty Williams hasn't decided what the lineups would be. He just has it right now. He said that when we get closer to the start of the season, he's going to start to inform people exactly what those lineups are. It could be a situation to where they believe, if they get to tinker with this lineup in preseason, where they believe maybe Stu is best off the bench. We don't know that yet.
Right.
And so we're still trying to figure this stuff out. But one of the prime things that I thought about immediately, and we talked about this when we thought our core 4 was Sadiq Bey and these guys, and we said eventually one of these guys are going to potentially have to come off the bench for this team to get to the next place, to get to that next level. When I think about the OKC Thunder, they're one of the most greatest tragedies in all of sports because they couldn't find a way to have their homegrown talent fit in a manner that would allow them to stay together and actually win together. And instead, they had to go out there and trade one of their biggest pieces. They became one of the most foundational pieces in an era of NBA basketball.
It's actually a great point.
Ever.
Yeah.
This is Coaching the Kid. I'm the kid.
I'm the coach.
And today, obviously, we've got to talk about this Jaden Ivey situation, folks. There's been a lot of buzz about the fact that Monty Williams is benching Jaden Ivey after one preseason game because apparently he's not ready. He said that even if Alec Burks wasn't ready to start for the Pistons, he would have put Bojan Bogdanovic in there over Ivey, even though Bojan doesn't play point guard. So, what do y'all think about that in the comments? And most importantly, what do you think about that, Coach?
First of all, man, those of you watching, listening, we appreciate y'all. This is going to be a listening thing, more of a listening podcast, or, whatever y'all want to call it. I grew up in the days of podcast. Podcast meant no visuals. It just meant audio. Now all of a sudden podcast means visual. The problem, if you don't know, is like we've done full videos and they've gotten blocked because we want to do our reaction stuff and all that, and we want to show the NBA, the actual game. Of course, you think we didn't want to show Asar's first preseason game, come on. But it got blocked. And so, right now, this is the best way, most consistent way that we can do the content with, the pictures and stuff like that. And, based on the views and stuff, y'all not really liking it. And I understand that. But, I'm just asking y'all, treat it like a radio show, like a very interesting radio show. We got, some visuals for y'all. Just put it on while you're washing your car, while you're working on your bike, while you're washing the dishes, playing with your kids. This is going to be a show. I'm doing this with my son. So obviously, we're not going to be dropping F-bombs and, this and that. It's going to be more of a family sports show. And frankly, I think that's needed. You know what I'm saying? Where I come from, I don't want to be around my kids and you watching something on YouTube and you talking about a random subject and nobody can talk. Everybody's dropping every word, imaginable. My daughter watches games and stuff like that. She watches YouTube. I can't hardly play stuff. So that's where we're gonna come from. So maybe that doesn't align with what you want or whatever. But we're gonna attract the people who want that because we good at what we do. We know what we're talking about, and we're not going anywhere. And you're gonna find that out. We're gonna get a lot of hate early because we go against the grain of what most people think. But here's the thing. I've been doing that for 30 years, right? I can count on one hand the people that probably know the Pistons better than me. And all of them played for the Pistons. Okay? Those are the only. Isaiah Thomas knows more about the Pistons than I do. Joe Dumars was the general manager. He knows more. Bill Lambier, knows more. He should
Chuck?
be coaching.
About Chuck.
What Chuck?
Chuck Daly.
Chuck is dead, boy. So
I'm saying from
he of course he knows more about basketball than I do with it, but I mean, it ain't that many people, specifically the Pistons, that know more, okay? And so this narrative that we're getting ready to have, I have had 20 times already before with other players. There was a time not too long ago where first of all, let me back up. Pistons fans are notoriously bad at evaluating players. Just like the franchise has been bad at evaluating players. Pistons fans are horrible at evaluating players. You guys always think that your players are better than what they actually are. And so there was a time where people actually thought that, that Greg Monroe was a franchise player. And that Andre Drummond was a franchise player. And that somehow Greg Monroe and Andre Drummond was this great 1-2 punch that was going to lead us to a championship.
I didn't necessarily think that about Greg Monroe, but you did used to like Andre Drummond when we were just open to him and he was averaging 20 rebounds
but I never thought he was going to be the first or second or third, go-to guy or whatever. He's just a guy. He's a rebounder, whatever. Horrible defensive awareness again. I don't know why we keep getting these bigs that have the talent, but they don't know what they're doing. So hear me, there's a difference between a decent player and a franchise player. But most Piston fans thought, hey, Greg Monroe was that dude. And, there was a question of who we should be giving the ball to at the end of games. And on the Pistons message boards, I was the lone guy, the only guy, saying Greg Monroe should not even be in the league. Greg Monroe is at best a bench player on a championship team. That's what I said. I have the receipt. Of course, people clown me. A couple years later, what happened? He's on the bench, I think, in Milwaukee. I'm not talking about now. I'm saying a couple years later after I said this. He's literally on the bench in Milwaukee. People were wondering if we should give Andre Drummond a max deal or a long-term deal. I said no. Right? And so where do you see Andre Drummond right now? And Andre Drummond has went to other places. He's gone to other places and he's done not too much. He's a backup center in today's NBA. That's what he is. So that's just a couple narratives out of, like I said, dozens that I've talked about. But we gotta get into this. Okay, we gotta get into this. All right. So number one, Coach Monty Williams, I'm gonna give you somewhat of a very, very small pass. Because you don't know your players. And the reason why I say small is because as the coach, you should have been watching your players for the last few months. Okay? So this really shouldn't be hard. But I'm going to give you somewhat of a pass. But it's really just going to be this one time. Here's all I have to say. If you're watching the Detroit Pistons in practice, at the Rico Hines League, the Summer League, preseason, whatever you want to call it, and you look at Alec Burks, and you look at Bogdanovich, and you look at Jaden Ivey, and out of those three, you pick Jaden Ivey to come off the bench, I am immediately questioning your ability to evaluate talent. Immediately. Because any good basketball person could spend one practice or two practices and know that on this team at this current time, Jaden Ivey is a starter, and quite frankly, based on all of the guys on the team right now, Jaden Ivey should be the primary ball handler. The Pistons are going, if they keep going in this direction, and we got numbers to back this up, don't we, kid?
Yeah, I got all the numbers up.
Okay, so we have some decent talent. Okay, Asar Thompson is the real deal, like I told you he was. Okay? I was wondering if they were going to bring him off the bench. It is absolutely the right decision to start him. There's no question. And so I was glad to see that. In fact, his name isn't Asar Thompson. I told you I had a nickname for him. It's Astar Thompson. That's who he is. That's what we have. Okay? But based on all the players on the team right now, Jaden Ivey is the most capable ball handler. He has the best assist-to-turnover ratio. He has the best feel for the game. Everything. Okay? And so he should be right now, even in positionless basketball, he should be your primary ball handler. He should be your primary decision maker. The Pistons are going to run this franchise in the ground, again, collectively, if they hitch their wagon to Cade Cunningham. I am telling you this now, Pistons fans. I have been telling you this. I do not have a problem with Cade Cunningham. I don't have a problem with him. He is a decent player. But he is at best the third best player on a championship team. He is at best the third best player on a championship team. He is not special. All of this talk about breakout season, he's a star, he's headed to stardom based on what? He doesn't do anything special. Nothing. We can just look at the first preseason game they played. The Pistons got blew out with Cade Cunningham on the floor. With Cade Cunningham on the floor, they were minus 21. Do I have that right?
Minus 24.
I didn't know if it was 21 or 24. Okay, minus 24 with this so-called superstar on the floor, this future star of the league. Taking Cade Cunningham off the floor, what did the Pistons do? They made up a 26-point deficit with, of all people, Killian Hayes running the point and Jaden Ivey playing well as other players. Translation, they were a better team without Cade. Period. As long as the Pistons keep trying to hitch their way, because Coach Monty Williams, you say, oh, okay, everybody has to prove everything. Please enlighten me, sir. Enlighten me, sir. Cade Cunningham was out all of last season. What did he prove?
Well, he played for 12 games last season. I don't know if that proves anything.
What did he prove? To get the, okay, you guaranteed going to get this starting spot. If anybody should have been coming off the bench in the first preseason game, it should have been Cade.
He proved that he can score, I guess, but it was 21.5 points on 20 shots. So
that's not proving anything. This is what I've been saying. What was his splits? What did he shoot?
41.5 field goal, 27.9 from three, and weirdly 83% from free throw.
Okay, now what were Jaden Ivey's numbers? Just give me the splits. Don't give me the points or anything. Just give me the field goal percentage and everything, just like you just did for Jaden Ivey for last year.
Also 41% field goal, 34% from three, and 74% from free throw.
Okay. All right. And it's really difficult to do this with 12 games. What was Cade Cunningham's assist to turnover ratio last year?
6.5 to 3.5, so almost 2.
He had 6.5 assists to 3.5 turnovers?
Yes.
Okay. So not 2 to 1, which really you shouldn't be handling the ball. What was Jaden Ivey's assist to turnover ratio?
6 to 3.7.
Okay. So pretty much the same, but K 12 games, Jaden Ivey a bunch more games. Jaden Ivey a much better three-point shooter, which Piston fans, that's all they care about. Y'all think everything is three-point shoot. Don't know a damn about basketball. It's not just three-point. In fact, three-point shooting isn't the most important thing. The most important thing is your efficiency. How many points did so here's what I want to do. Per 36, this is what I asked you to do. Per 36, K. I don't want Cade last year. I want Cade the previous year where he played more games. I want Jaden last season, and I want Anthony Simons last season per 36 minutes. What are their numbers?
All right, so in Cade's rookie season, in 64 games, this is per 36 minutes, he averaged 19.2 points, 6.1 assists, 6.1 rebounds, 1.3 steals, 0.7 blocks, and 4 turnovers.
Okay, 4 turns, so 6 to 4, right? And what did he shoot?
He shot 41, 31, and 84.
Okay. Next.
18.8 points, 4.5 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, 0.3 blocks, and 3.7 turnovers.
Did you say the assists?
I said 6.
Okay. What did he shoot? You didn't say the shooting.
The numbers I gave before were his shooting numbers.
Which was?
41, 34, and 74.7.
Okay, so rookie season, the biggest knock on Jaden Ivey was, he can't shoot. And so K's rookie season, Jaden Ivey's rookie season, Jaden is by far the better three-point shooter. And let's just say, being devil's advocate, that they're the same at creating. Now, I happen to not think that, but let's just say that, okay? Now, give me Anthony Simons last year, and y'all going to see what I'm saying. I have never looked up Anthony Simons' numbers ever. Per 36, what do you have?
Anthony Simons averaged 21.7 points.
Per 36?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
2.7 rebounds, 4.2 assists, less than a steal, less than a block, and 2.1 turnovers.
Shooting
44, 37, and 89.
Okay. Wow, 89. All right. Now, those numbers are pretty more similar than what I thought. Okay, so what do you see? What do those numbers tell you? You tell me what those numbers tell you.
They tell me that Simons is the purest shooter with the highest splits. And I didn't think Jaden Ivey was a worse free throw shooter than Cade Cunningham. But I also see that Anthony Simons is the most efficient scoring. He's taking 17 shots to score his 21.7. Cade is taking, as I said, 20 to score 21.5.
This is per 36.
Yes.
Okay.
And Ivy might be the most efficient.
He is. That's why I was wondering.
18.8 to 15.4.
18.8 what?
Points to 15 shots.
Okay. You're just looking at that. What I see is the best playmaker out of the three is Jaden Ivey. Okay. Anthony Simons is the best scorer out of the three. The most and Ivy is the most efficient because Ivy probably gets to the line more. Anthony Simons has the better shot. When you hang around Dame and Dame is giving you space, of course you're going to shoot well. Why am I bringing up Anthony Simons? A couple reasons. Number one, there was a time where Anthony Simons was on the bench. The kid will tell you this, right? And every time I saw Anthony Simons play, I said, this kid he's a starter. In fact, he has a chance to be a star.
You was talking about him taking Damian Lillard's job. Now look, he's gone.
You see what I'm saying?
But is that the same thing as taking his job?
Well, I mean, he was traded, but make no mistake, they wouldn't have traded him unless they thought that they had the pieces in place. And with Scoot and Anthony Simons, they do. I feel like Anthony Simons is one of the most underrated players in the entire NBA. Okay, so that's the first reason offensively, he's a horrible defender. Okay, the second reason I brought him up is because Anthony Simons just got a contract for I don't know what it is. I think north of $25 million. Okay, so those are the two reasons that I brought that up. The numbers are somewhat similar. He's a better shooter than both of those guys. Given the time, if you had an offense that focused on Anthony Simons, he could score close to 30 a game. There's no question. He's just not a good enough defender. And I feel the same way about Jaden Ivey. I believe Jaden Ivey, if you focused on him because he gets to the line, which Cade doesn't do, Jaden Ivey can average 24, 26. I believe we have two guys on our team. If you focused on them, they could both give you north of 24 points a game. And that's Ivy and Star Thompson. It's not Cade Cunningham for the reasons that you have said. So why? He's mainly inefficient. So that's the historical perspective that we have on Cade and Ivy. Now, let's go to the first game that they played in the preseason and give me the numbers.
Wait, didn't we do this already?
We did this with me and you, but we didn't do this for the audience. We did this when it happened. So tell me, first game, what was Cade's numbers?
All right, Cade Cunningham, 5 of 15 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, 2 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 turnovers, so he had a good ratio that game, minus 24.
Okay. I don't need the whole thing. Just give me the efficiency. 5 for 15. Okay. How many points?
12.
You didn't even name the points. So 15 shots, 12 points. The other season, 20 shots and
21 points.
21 points. Okay. Now, Jaden Ivey's numbers, please.
15 points on 8 shots. 5 of 8. He also made 3 threes.
8 shots, 15 points. So Jaden Ivey took less shots and scored more points. What was the plus minus, which is the most important thing?
-1.
Okay. So K was minus 24. Jaden was -1. Who was plus in the game?
Mostly the bench players. It was Marvin Bagley, who went off.
Yeah.
Umude, I don't know who that is.
Yeah. And Killian
Hayes
was plus
and Marcus
what?
Sasser. Marcus Sasser only scored 1 point, though, so he was just along for the ride.
Yeah, but, I mean, you could score 0 and still affect your team, right? So, we have a year of data already. Okay. We have now one preseason game where, again, Cade is being inefficient. And you sit up here, coach, and you tell us that it's Ivy is the one that needs to prove himself. It's not the dude that's taking 20 shots to score 20 points. He don't need to prove nothing. He fine. It's the dude that has almost 100% efficiency. He only took 8 shots. A perfect score, he would have scored 16. He scored 15. Yet K took 15 shots to score 12. Why is that important? What does that mean? What that means is K, you're hitching your wagon to K. And he's the most inefficient player on the team probably. And yet you keep giving him the ball. How do you think that makes a guy like Jaden Ivey feel? I have seen this movie several times before. Not only have the Pistons been bad at drafting, but when they do draft a good player, for whatever reason, they always want to hitch their wagon to somebody else, whether they draft a player or whether they bring them in, through trade or whatever. It has happened multiple times. Okay, we had a guy, I believe his name, sometimes I get the name wrong, but I want to say his name was Sean Elliott. We drafted Sean Elliott. I believe that was his name. And for whatever reason, so many games into the season, the Pistons traded Sean Elliott, and he ended up on the Spurs. And what did he do for the Spurs? He became a great player for the Spurs.
Did he win a championship?
I believe he did. I could be off a little bit. I don't know if he was on that 99 team. But he was a great player for them.
Way back. I thought you was talking about the 2012 Spurs.
No. I'm going to 99. Right? We're constantly doing this. We did this with Memo. Here's another controversial thing that happened where I commented on it and everybody laughed at me. We had just won the championship. We had just won. It was time to give Memo his money. But we could not keep both Memo and Sheed. We had to get rid of one of them. I love Sheed. But I said flat out, I said if the Pistons want to keep winning, they need to let Sheed go and keep Memo. Everybody laughed at me. Oh, you're crazy. Oh, you're crazy. What happened? Memo went to the Utah Jazz and became an all-star, a 2-time all-star. Sheed was at the end of his effectiveness. He helped us a little bit, but thinking long-term, Memo was the youngest, they should have kept him.
Yeah, well, that would be like the Warriors winning their first championship, and then they say, you know what? Let's get rid of Steph Curry.
No, blasphemy. That Rasheed was not Steph
He
Curry
was
to
one
the
of their
pit.
core
He was not
pieces.
Steph Curry. Okay? Period.
Ball don't lie.
He was not Steph Curry. Stop it. Okay? But, you know, the bottom line is I feel like we're on the same path again. Right? When we had Christian Wood shocked. One of the shocks of my basketball life was Christian Wood being undrafted. I was, again, one of the only people in the world saying Christian Wood is a 2010 guy in the NBA. I'm saying that before he's drafted. He's a 2010 guy. I watched him his whole college career. He for whatever reason, gets undrafted. He must be a bad interview or something because everywhere he go, they hate on him. It took him a while grinding in New Orleans and other places to get to the point where somebody would play him. Once he got a chance in Detroit, he was dominant for 10 minutes, for 15 minutes. Because that's all the time that Casey would play him. Why? Because these coaches come in with preconceived notions of who they want to play. They say that it's an open thing, but it's not open, it's closed. So literally, Christian Wood would come in and score 20 points in 19 minutes, and for whatever reason, Detroit wouldn't start him. So what happens? What do you think happens? He leaves. And he goes on to Houston and other players on that Houston team. That was probably James Harden's best opportunity to win. Christian Wood fit perfectly with James Harden. Perfectly. He was averaging north of 22. He's hitting threes. He's rebounding. Christian Wood is one of the best bigs in the NBA. People don't believe that. Okay? So I fear the same thing like my man was saying, the reason why we played that clip. Yeah, OKC had this problem. And they couldn't make it work. We don't want that. We don't want to be the OKC. Damn it, we got the same GM. So it's already like, do-do-do-do-do-do. Yeah, bro. He was on OKC. You didn't know that?
Who's the GM right now?
Troy.
He was the GM in the
He drafted Russell Westbrook. You didn't know that?
No.
Yes. Okay. And so Jaden Ivey was his Russell Westbrook. Yeah. So we already got that. So we don't want to have this thing where once again you got to get rid of your James Harden because you can't find a way to hitch him in. And I'm not saying that they hitched themselves to the wrong wagon in KD and Russ. No, that was just not the case. They just had too much talent. But the Pistons don't have too much talent. Jaden Ivey is probably the second most talented player on the team after a star. But even talent doesn't mean like scoring. I think a star is the most talented player here. I know he is. But Jaden Ivey is the best scorer we have. A star is not ready to average 26, 28 right now. Give him 2-3 years. I believe Jaden Ivey is ready to average 24, 26 points if you focus the offense around him. I believe he could do that this season.
So you think he could be our version of De'Aaron Fox?
If you want to say that, they're not the same player. But he's a 24, 25 guy. I believe he could end up being one of the best guards in the NBA.
The problem with having any of those three be our primary ball handlers, they're all turnover prone to a certain extent.
No, not Jaden Ivey. He's
averaging about the same amount of turnovers as Cade.
If you paid attention, kid, early on he was averaging a lot more turnovers early on. He has brought that down significantly. He's had games where he's been 10-1, 8-1. Cade has not had too many, if any. I'm going off of memory. I haven't looked at every box score, but Jaden Ivey has been less turnover prone than Cade. A star is super turnover. A star is more turnover prone than Cade. So I said, if you start Cade and Asar and Ivy, we're going to lead the league in turnovers. But a star is so good at everything else. He'll turn the ball over and then come back and steal the ball from the guy so it don't matter. Cade doesn't do that. But I have this eerie sense again that we're going to hitch our wagon just because you drafted him. Who gives a damn about a draft pick? It doesn't matter that he was drafted number 1. And so now I'm really starting to believe that it was Monty Williams. Seeing all this BS happen already, I now believe that it was Monty Williams who made Jaden Ivey cut his hair, which I don't like. Like, you trying to come with this Spurs whole thing, this soulless basketball, right? You know, when we haven't won championships like that recently. I forget, how many championships has Monty Williams won?
I don't know everywhere he's been. I just know he's been in Phoenix. They didn't win there.
He hasn't won any as the head coach. What did they do last year?
They went to the conference semifinals and lost to Denver in 6 games.
Do you get a trophy for losing in the semifinals?
No.
You sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. So you haven't really proven anything as a coach.
Well,
who was on it?
He went to the finals. He went to the finals.
But who was on his team last year?
Devin Booker.
Uh-huh.
KD just got there.
Okay. You got Devin Booker and KD, but you can't get out the second round. Hello? So, again, that, like, I'm giving them a pass, but if you cannot look anybody in their eye and say that if Bogdanovich was healthy, he would have started. Bogdanovich going to check who at the 2? Who? Please tell me.
You can check Luka. They're both slow.
That's it. Yeah, they had a good game when they went up against each other. I think Bogey had close to 40 and Luka had 40 because neither one of them jokers could check each other. Right? But you not putting Bogdanovich on anybody that plays the 1 or the 2, or you for damn sure gonna lose. You got to think about both sides, coach. It's not just one-sided. So you're gonna look. I love Alec Burks. I'm one of the few people that probably like him. I've always liked Alec Burks. I used to have him on my 2K team. But number 1, Alec Burks is not better than Jaden Ivey. Number 2, do you honestly see a future with Alec Burks more than you see with Jaden Ivey? Are you serious? Like, you think Jaden Ivey is going to be the starter? I'm sorry, Alec Burks is going to be the starter at the 1 or the 2.
And it's also an age thing. Alec Burks is 32.
Thank you. So it's disrespectful. And these are the kind of things that guys think about. And this boy loves Detroit. I would hate for somebody, like, this is like a match made in heaven. I've never seen a young man cry the way he did when he was drafted. And we know the history with his mom and so on and so forth. He's playing the role right now, but this is devastating to him. He loves Detroit. He wants to be here, and he has talent. You can't do this to this kind of people. How you going to sit up here and tell me that he's not ready when this organization has given Killian Hayes 3 years? And I still don't think Killian Hayes knows how to use his right hand. If he does, it's taken 3 years for him to learn how to use his right hand, which is something that I teach kids at the YMCA when they're 10 years old.
You know what? Looking at this box score, to be honest, you know who should be running the point?
Killian?
He's always been a good passer.
Yes.
He just
Not
didn't know what he
always.
was doing.
Not always. But he has
7
improved.
assists, 1 turnover.
Hey. If you had told me that, I would. Does Killian Hayes deserve to start over Jaden Ivey?
He deserves to start over Alec Burks.
Does he? I didn't ask you that, did I? Over Jaden Ivey?
No.
Okay. But you're going to sit here and tell me that Ivy the one. Dude, this is going to be the thing. If they continue with this, which I think they will, this is going to be the thing that derails this version of the Pistons. And let me tell you how the story ends, because I've seen it multiple times. The story ends with Jaden Ivey being traded to another team, paying Cade a bunch of money, and then Jaden Ivey going and playing for this other team and helping them win a championship. Just like every other player that we've got rid of, with the exception of Luke Kennard, every player, Bruce Brown, KCP.
Christian hasn't won.
Christian who?
What?
Well, Christian wasn't drafted. These are our guys that we drafted, but Christian could win one this year. You know what I'm saying? But every guy that we've let go has had more success elsewhere. Every single person. Think about that. KCP done won a couple now. Bruce Brown done won one. Like, KCP is coveted now. And he was trash when he was here. So what does that say about your organization when other people are able to get more out of the talent than you? So Jaden Ivey, if y'all continue with it, now this is one preseason game. What's going to save this situation? What do you think will save this situation, kid?
Honestly, right now I feel like K doesn't fit the identity of where we're going. If you draft a Jaden Ivey and a Star Thompson, that means you want to go fast.
That means you want to run. But I'm
K
asking
does
you,
not go fast.
we get all of that. I'm asking you, what is the one way that this situation, based on all the knowledge that we have, what's the one way that this situation gets fixed?
Trade K for a bunch of stuff.
No, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that.
You asked me what I thought.
But what has to happen? They're not going to trade him, so what has to happen?
Maybe he has to get injured?
He has to get hurt. The basketball guys have to help us. I'm being real with you, because they're not going to trade him because they drafted him number 1. That's the only reason. It's not because of talent. You should not be analyzing basketball players if you can look at Cade Cunningham and look at a star and look at Jaden Ivey and you say Cade is the best player. You should not have a basketball job if that's what you think. I'm just keeping it real. There's nothing wrong with Cade. He played well. 2 out of the 5 shots that he hit in that game, they were catch and shoots. He wasn't creating. He wasn't doing it. It was a catch and shoot. Cade can be a very, very solid catch and shoot 3 and D. He plays, above average defense, not a star level defense, but above average. The Pistons could actually be a decent defensive team. Let them play D. Let them be a secondary, passer within the offense, not bringing it up the court. Within the offense, coming off curls, cutting, whatever, driving kicks within the offense. 3 and D, he's very valuable as that. He can be that. That's why I want to make this clear, so y'all not saying, oh, he's saying Cade can't play. I didn't say that. He still would not be my choice. He would not be my number 1 choice. But he can do that. But right now, the best distributor right now is Jaden Ivey. Probably next year is a star. In 2 years, definitely it's a star. I can see a lot of amazing things happening with those two of the fastest players in the NBA. K wants to slow things down, dribble, booty, dribble, mid-range jumper. That is incredibly, as much as Detroit Pistons fans love the three, that is your most inefficient guy, and it's your most inefficient shot. I'm not an analytics guy, but I'm just telling you, like, for him, that's an inefficient shot. You have to draw fouls if you're going to take a bunch of mid-range shots, and he doesn't do that either. He doesn't do anything special. Okay, so now y'all gonna listen to this, y'all gonna dislike it, y'all gonna say stuff. We're gonna come back to this when something happens, when either Jaden Ivey gets traded or K gets hurt, right? Or, you know, we're at game 62 and the Pistons are 20-42, and they finally say, well, let Jaden Ivey start. And then we go like 15-5 the last 20 games. And then here we are next year going to a situation where, are we going to extend Cade or not? And all this, should we pay him? Right? You're doing it wrong, man. And I'm tired of it, dude. I love this team. I just want to see us make good decisions. And we're not doing that.